All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my show, the Daniel Chia Show. I'm so excited to be back. Now that I do it less often, I really look forward to every session. And we have an amazing, amazing guest today. And I can't wait to introduce you, Mr. Darren Rahn, amazing saxophonist, producer. And we're going to have such a good time listening to his music as well as, hearing the stories from him. And we're going to hear, and we're gonna take your questions as well. We have some questions already, so for sure we're gonna get into that with Darren. And let me take a look and say hi. Um, all right, hi. Oh, I see Jack. Jack must be here. Jack, thank you so much, all the way from the U.S. And Kiwai, nice to see you. Adrian, yes, for sure, I'll get your questions across to him. Yeah, let me quickly toggle some stuff. And what I was gonna do is I wanted to start off with a tune. So I was thinking what tune I could start off with Darren earlier, and actually Darren and I, I first spoke to him probably 3 years ago, while working on my first album, so I recorded it with Paul Brown, and actually I have the album here, so I'll be sharing with you the first opening song, featuring Darren. So this tune is actually off my debut album, In the Moment, and it features Darren on soprano saxophone, which was really really cool. It's a nice R&B, nice groovy tune, and yeah, let's just start off with some music. I've been dying to play. I haven't had much time to play my saxophone this week, so definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, Darren is ready to come on, but we'll start off with one song and then we'll bring him in very, very shortly. So let me get my instrument. Right, let me see. Yeah, and so if you guys have any questions for Darren, do leave it in the chat, and that way I can take a look, and then we can bring it up to Darren and we can talk about that as well. Let me get the backing track. All right, so I'm going to start off with this tune. This one is called Just Because, and it features Darren Rahn. I don't happen to have the track that doesn't have his soprano part inside, so Darren will just chill, while I do this tune featuring him. So hope you guys enjoy this. All right, there was a tune called. Oops. There was a tune called Just Because featuring my very special guest for today, Mr. Darren Rahn. That was off my first album, So the funny thing is, actually, Darren and I, we've been only speaking through Facebook Messenger. So we've never even had like, a video call and just a chat to hang out before, but I thought, no better way than to, do it for the first time now, across two different continents, but, sharing that with you as well. And I think that's what, this series was really about. Of course, I have my own show where I play my favorite songs, but, these special shows that I have, so it's probably Friday night in the US and Saturday morning for you guys, it's been really special for me because I get to connect with all my favorite saxophonists, that I have looked up to. I have loved their music for a long time, and we get to chat and learn more, behind the scenes really. And, I'm so glad I get to share that with you. And, for some of you, you might be new to smooth jazz, you might be new, you may not even play the saxophone, so I hope even if you guys are not saxophonists or not musicians, you will still enjoy these conversations with these special guests that I invite on my show. So I'm really, really excited. So Darren is already waiting here. Let me get everything ready. So this is a one-man production, juggling everything. This is probably my 22nd episode of the live show. And man, things still go wrong. Things are still, it's never easy. Technology is so amazing. Darren and I were just chatting before this, but man, there's so many elements that could go wrong as well. But most importantly, we want to bring you a good show. So hopefully you've seen the progression of my show from day one. We just used any camera we had, any equipment we had lying around. But, over the weeks and months, we slowly upgraded. So let me put this down. Yeah, so speaking of that tune, if you guys are interested, I have signed copies of my album In the Moment right here. My PayNow and PayPal information is in the description of the video, and any contributions you give will really go a long way in supporting this show. So, without any further hesitation, I'm gonna bring on my very, very special guest, and let me pull him up. All right, so let's welcome Mr. Darren Rahn. All right,
Hey,
hi
how's it
Darren.
going, Daniel?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, everything looks amazing. We had some issues at the start, but it's I can't wait to hear your music and your stories as well. So, Darren, how's everything been in the US where you are?
It's good. What's happening in our country right now obviously is very difficult, as many places in the world. My family and I, we're doing well. We have been hunkered down here in the quarantine, and things are starting to kind of get back to our work and a little bit more of the normal routine. But we're hanging in there, and just blessed that we can do music in the middle of all of this.
Yeah, for sure. Darren, I'm so sorry. I just saw that there was a Zoom prompt that we only have 10 minutes left on this conversation, which is really weird. So usually, when it's a one-to-one conversation, it's supposed to be unlimited, but I was sharing with you guys, technology is weird. I think it's because we signed in and out a few times, so it feels like it's more than one person. So no worries. I'm going to change back the camera a bit, and I'm going to send Darren a brand new Zoom link, and then we'll go in there so that we won't be disrupted in 10 minutes time.
Okay.
So I'm going to end this call, and then I'm going to send Darren another link. So yeah, so that's live TV for you. Things just don't always go according to plan, but I'm going to set up a new Zoom meeting now. So I'm still using Zoom for now, but we've been trying to try other platforms as well, but so far, this has been working well most of the time. So let me pull this up. And thank you for joining me. For those who are watching on Facebook, you can click the YouTube chat above as well. And join us here. I won't be able to toggle, both the Facebook and the YouTube chat. But let me bring this. Let me send Darren this. So let me know if you guys have any other questions besides Adrian's questions. Let me take a look at the chat while I send this. All right. Hi, Casey. Nice to see you. Hi, Hugo. And yeah, friends from Japan, I think. Thank you so much. Chris, nice to see you. Eka, nice to see you. Feng from Vietnam. Juniper, nice to see you. And Nicole as well. Hilda, nice to see you. Yin. Yes, Yin is asking why no headphones. Yeah, so actually, because for these sessions, I don't play much. So I just wanted it to be a bit cleaner. I'm just using it mainly for talking. So I'm gonna send Darren another link. All right, and we're gonna have him on real soon. Once I see that he logged in, So hope you guys had a great week. I really love sharing, these amazing guests with you. Some of you, if you're not familiar with their music, we're gonna share links to their music and let Darren talk about it. And I have so many other guest artists that I've already booked, and they are coming on the show in the next few weeks. So do look out for the announcement. If you're new to my channel here, do subscribe and do click on the bell notifications, and look for me on social media. That's where I share all this information. So yeah, I'm really looking forward. And for those of you in Asia, tonight at 8 p.m. I'll be doing my own show, and it's actually the second edition of Mendo Pop Night. So I can't wait for that. I'm gonna prepare that really well and have many more new songs that I haven't done before. So that's 8 p.m. on my channel, Singapore time today. So yeah, do subscribe to the YouTube channel and my social media, and that's where you will really see the most updates. So yeah. Let's see. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. Can be saxophone related, can be music related. And hi Lance, nice to see you. Oh, saw me at Esplanade. Thank you so much. And thanks for finding my YouTube show here as well. Hi Russell, hi Daryl, nice to see you guys. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. And yes, I think we have Darren back on. Let me check that. All right, Darren, can you hear me?
I can hear you guys.
All right. Okay, let me get Darren back on. All right. Darren, thank you so much. Sorry for that, small hiccup, Yeah, we've been loving, I'm sure Zoom, everyone is on it, has been using it, but yeah, it has its quirks as well. So, but I'm so glad we get to connect, and it's like a 14-hour time difference, between us, and probably a 24-hour flight, to get from Singapore to Denver where you are, So yeah, I think just now you started sharing a bit about yourself, and maybe you can a nice question to start with is what led you to settle where you are right now in Denver?
Denver. Wow. It's a long story, but I was going to school in grad school in Greeley, Colorado, University of Northern Colorado. And I was in my last year, actually a year and a half away from my doctorate degree, and I felt in my heart like I was supposed to move to Denver and start pursuing music in the music industry. And it was kind of crazy because there's really not much of a music industry here in Denver. It was just something I felt God had laid on my heart, and so I did it. And through an unbelievable number of connections and things that God had laid before me, I ended up connecting with people on both coasts, and before too long I was playing saxophone and writing and producing and recording, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, man. And I think with technology right now, I mean, you have worked with the the most amazing lists of artists, and would you say, in what you're doing now in terms of production and mixing and working with artists, being in Denver, doesn't affect any of that? Do you feel that way now?
At this point, it doesn't. It's when I was starting out, a lot of people, there were opportunities that I had to turn down because I lived here in Denver and my family is here, my son is here, my wife is here, and I really wanted to make sure and be there for them. I didn't want to be the typical musician kind of leaving home and being
Yeah.
gone, through their life. So I decided to stay here. And in the early years, I did a good variety of gigging and performing, recording, producing, mixing. And as time went on, the connections kind of opened up, and now it's not a hindrance at all. I'm able to do pretty much everything I want from here, and I've got a great network of friends and musicians and great relationships all across the U.S. So
Yeah.
it worked out great.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think for a lot of people, when they think of smooth jazz, they would think, oh, maybe being in LA might be a nice place to be. The opportunities are there. But you have made a amazing name for yourself and amazing music. Just choosing to be in Denver, and I'm not sure about property prices and all, but it's probably a bit cheaper to live in Denver as compared to, let's say, LA or New York. So,
Yeah,
hopefully, yeah.
the cost of living is definitely, especially when I started getting into the industry, 20, 25 years ago.
Mm.
The cost of living was way lower. Now it's a bit lower. It's come up a lot. I think Colorado is kind of the new California.
Oh, okay.
So it's changed a lot, but it's a great place to live, great place to raise a family, and we feel very fortunate to be here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you can have a really nice studio space. I always admire. And hopefully we get to connect, one day in person. That would be
Sure.
really nice. I've never been to Denver, so that would be really
Come on
nice.
over, Daniel. We will-
Sounds good. I'll definitely take you up on that offer. Yeah, once we get to, even do air travel, for us, in Singapore, there's no coming in or going out, at the moment. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to travel. And, I definitely don't miss flying to the US, man. That's one torturous journey, but every time I get there, it's so worth it. And I usually spend at least 2-3 weeks in the US, because after a 24-hour flight, I'm not just gonna stay for, a few days. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to, learn more from you, like how you decided to, build a family and build your business basically, where you are. And it seems like, I think now with technology, it doesn't really matter, because,
Yeah.
especially through COVID, it's proven to us that, physical distance is not as crazy right now, hopefully with technology. And speaking of that, I saw one of your Facebook posts and you were actually writing music with Dave Koz virtually.
Yeah, we're working on some new material for his upcoming record.
Wow.
So we've got some songs in the works for that, and
Wow.
we've done stuff together in the past, and we just have a blast working together. So good times.
Yeah, I think having Zoom conversations is one thing, but to be able to write music remotely together, that's pretty awesome. How has that experience been for you, to work with an artist but, through technology?
It's been fine. We have a lot of years of experience working together. So we've been in the studio many times previously together, creating music and making music. But even then, some of our collaborations were long distance, and so we kind of came up with our routine of figuring out kind of the foundation of the music, and I would start to put that together and send it to him, and then we would share melody ideas, and like we're at that phase now where we're getting ready to record him, and so we had to get the melody all worked out. So we did a FaceTime. We just did a FaceTime with our computers and our saxophones, and sat there and wrote the melody together.
Nice. That's amazing. When I saw that, I was like, wow, this could be the future. Imagine, how much easier it is to collaborate without having to, and I mean, within the US, flying maybe is not that much of a problem, but, I guess you have always worked with artists outside of the US even. So I know Wakana from Japan, has been working with you. Did you ever meet her in person before?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, several times.
Okay.
Wakana and we've I think the first time we met was at the NAMM show years ago. And then we both play P. Moriarty saxophones. So we've been in a couple places together where trade shows where P. Moriarty will bring some of the artists into play, and so we've done that. And then Wakana, I think the last time she was in LA, she came out to one of my shows, Spaghettini, and she sat in with me, and we got to jam together. So yeah, we've met several times, and and then she called me to work on this song, and we have a mutual friend in Tokyo who's an amazing recording engineer. He was able to get her in the studio and record, but she and I kind of had the song worked out ahead of time.
That's amazing, and I love all these international collaborations, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this special show as well. Just to bring our worlds, a bit closer. Over here in Asia, it's really difficult to, fly, to the US to catch you guys live. So this is the best we can do for now, for a greater connection. But hopefully it exposes people to your music as well and what you're doing and all the wonderful things behind the scenes. So, maybe now would be a good time, for Darren to do a song for us. Darren, what's the first song you'd like to play for us?
Oh, I think, let's see here. I'm gonna play a little bit of Talk of the Town for you guys.
All right. right, Darren. Thank you so much for that tune, Talk of the Town. I actually went to add the link to that album on the YouTube chat. So if you guys like that tune, you can listen to the whole album. So Darren, that was from one of your earlier albums, right?
That was from 2009, Talk of the Town, the
Mm.
title track from that album, and was my first #1 as well. I had been
Wow.
producing for a bunch of other people and had a couple albums out, and that was the one that started to change things a little bit.
Wow, that was amazing. You know, and I want to segue into record labels, you know, because I was listening to you on Adam Hawley's show, and you guys
Hmm.
spoke a bit about this, and I just thought it was such an amazing story of how you got started. Um, and you know, I've heard the story, you know, but I think a lot of the audience today haven't. So I wanted to ask you, you know, how was it like when you first, you know, were trying to, you know, record your first album? I think if I'm not wrong, you approached several labels in
Hmm.
LA and abroad. You know, maybe you can share with us how it all started and then the
Well,
amazing things that happened along the way.
that was. By the way, I'm changing the battery here in my
No problem.
microphone. Of
Yeah.
all the things here, we get the connection going, and then the battery wants to die. That was a really, it was a really pivotal time in my career. I had been trying to figure out what my next step was and
Hmm.
what I wanted to do. Um, saxophone was my passion, so I had sent some music to a bunch of labels in Los Angeles, and this is gosh, a good 10, 15 years into my music career.
Hmm.
And I was hitting that point where I was just feeling like I wasn't, quite where I wanted to be, but
Hmm.
also just the notion of starting a family and pursuing music. How was I going to, you know, make ends meet and really be a good dad and a good
Hmm.
father and a good husband?
Hmm.
And I sent this music out to these labels. I didn't get any responses from any big labels, but a small label in LA emailed me and said, "Hey, we just got your record, and we really like it. And we'd like to talk to you." And one of the guys from the record label called me, and then the next day, I get a phone call from none other than Dave Koz. And
Wow.
hi, Darren, this is Dave Koz. I saw the 818 phone number, and so I took the call, and I was pretty shocked to hear Dave's voice on the other end. And of course, I had grown up listening to Dave. So, um, long story short, a couple months later, I went to LA to meet them. I brought my record with me, and they were looking at signing me, and we met in their office. And when they finished listening to my record, and they said, "We love it, absolutely love it, but we're a small label. We just started, and we just signed another sax player last week, and so another young sax player, and we don't have the means to do two young sax players right now." So I left that meeting a little disappointed, but at the very end of the meeting, they told me, they said, "Hey, if we had any production work, we really like the sound of your production and your mixing, and if we had any work for you, would you be interested?" And so I decided to go ahead and just I said, "Yeah, whatever you guys have."
Hmm.
Little did I know that night they overnighted my record to Wayman Tisdale, and I was in town for 4 days. I felt deep in my heart I was supposed to stay in LA till Thursday, and I couldn't quite figure it out, but I did anyway. And then they called me the next day and said, "We overnighted your record to Wayman. We just signed him last month, and he's going to be in town on Thursday," which was day 4, "and he wants to meet you." So I went into that meeting, and Wayman asked me to produce "Ain't No Stopping Us Now," and I went home. 9 days later, I was back in LA with Dave Rideau. He was mixing it, and 9 weeks later, it was #1 on Billboard. So that's how it all started for me.
Man, that's just such a crazy story. And I remember you sharing, you know, you were unsure if even staying in LA till Thursday was, you know, the right thing, you know, while you're booking
Yeah,
that
I
album.
didn't have the money. I didn't have the money. I didn't have. I mean, my whole trip out there was on a credit card, not knowing how I was going to pay it back. Um,
Wow.
and 3 extra nights in a hotel, food, the whole thing. And but I thank God it was meant to be, and it was a
Wow.
pivotal moment in my life. Not just the opportunity or the door opening up, but that you have one idea in your mind of how it's all going to go. I was looking for the record immediately for the record deal, and I found in my life, my faith in God is a big part of my life, and serving others. It's the example that I follow, and so I didn't get the record deal right off the bat, but I worked for others and I served others, and then after I did that for a while, the doors, for me as an artist, just flew wide open, and I got my record deal and all that. So, but it started with helping others, and I think, really honestly, I think in life that's the best way for it to happen.
Wow, it's amazing. And it's just so encouraging so, because I guess when you went to LA, you know what you wanted, which was the record deal. It didn't happen the way you thought it would. Yeah. But, if I might say, it actually turned out probably way better than what, probably might have happened if you just chose that path of being an artist. Just getting the record label deal, churning out albums for yourself only. And I think now, people respect you and look up to you so much because you've worked with so many people, and later we'll talk about that skill set of bringing in production and mixing as a musician. But, I just feel it's mind blowing. When I first heard that story, I didn't know that before, and that's why I love these shows. I heard it on Adam's show and I'm like, wow, sometimes when we look back, and I try to take these lessons in my own life as well, because humanly, we think we know what's the correct answer, but it's very likely there's a much bigger plan for us that we never knew. You staying for extra days, I can't imagine what the Tuesday and Wednesday felt like for you, because you'll be like, hey, it didn't go through, and what am I doing here for these extra days, and for it to turn out the way it is just blows my mind, hearing that story. And that's why I wanted, to let those people watching here today, hear that from you as well.
Yeah, God's plans are so much better than our plans. And, I've had so many times in my life where I've tried to do it the way I think it should be done. And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But in those moments where I just kind of come back to the grassroots of helping others, taking the gift of music and using it to bless, a lot of people, man, it's incredible, the relationships and all the things that have stemmed out of that. And now, fast forward all these years, all these decades, and thinking to myself, boy, it's been strange thinking that I've been in Denver for, 25 plus years doing music in a town that doesn't have much of a music scene, oftentimes alone in my basement, wondering why I feel like maybe I should be somewhere else or surrounded by a bunch of people. And then, this difficult time in human history hits us. And I realized that in working and helping others and staying here in Denver and doing what I do on a daily basis, God really it's like he built in a protection for me and a provision for me that wouldn't have been there otherwise. So I'm just incredibly grateful. And the people I've had a chance to work with, I love them all. It's just incredible.
Yeah, so amazing. And I, can be a testament for the fact that I think people are willing to look for you in Denver. It's worth it because you've built your name and your sound and your production and mixing. I, for one, when I did my first album 3 years ago, I reached out to you, that's how it all started. So I was willing to fly down to Denver. That was no issue. The traveling was no issue. So, like I told you, it was a tough choice because I sent the music out, so I was like, okay, is it Denver with Darren or LA with Paul Brown, so it was such a tough decision. But in the end, I'm so glad.
You did well. Paul is amazing. He's a good friend of mine, and you can't go wrong with that. Paul's incredible. So we love when he and I get to do music together too.
Yeah,
great time.
Yeah. You guys play together, and once I was there with Paul, we had this tune just because I started the show with. Then we were like, it'd be nice to do a duet. So I had my soprano with me, but I told Paul, should we call someone else, rather than have just two of me. He was like, oh, you spoke to Darren, so why don't we just ask Darren? And I still remember, I think we sent you the track like in one afternoon. And by the next morning, when we got up and ready to work, the track was already back in Paul's, email. So that was amazing. And, just hearing you on soprano, I mean, you sound amazing on all saxophones, So
Thank you so much,
that was so good. And I definitely, I couldn't get you playing tenor because then, that would really overshadow my my tenor playing. So we thought, soprano might be good.
Although I knew I liked you right away is because you're a tenor player, and we know that tenor's the best saxophone. So
yeah, still my my favorite voice on the saxophone, and I'm sure for you as well. But man, I heard you playing alto, and it's just all sounds amazing. So I'm so glad we got to connect, and I think this show, I really wanted it to be more than just saxophones. There's, I'm sure people have asked you how, like, countless times what reeds you play, what ligature you play, and that's all good. I think that's good, but I think there's so much more to be said, behind that artist that people don't see. They think that, oh, he's playing a new ligature, and that ligature you have is not cheap. So if people want to justify and say, oh, Darren sounds great because he bought a brand new shiny ligature, that's so far from the truth. But since we're on the topic, I wanted to just get some questions and just talk a bit about the gear. For sure there are saxophonists watching the show, and they will probably hound me if I don't ask a bit of saxophone related questions. So I think a lot of people know the saxophones that you use, the mouthpieces. Just now Adrian on the chat, I already shared with everyone, that's a Jody Jazz
nice.
Giant. So, and I think you have amazing sound because, and I think people have asked you this before, they wouldn't think that you were playing a Jody Jazz Giant. They would have thought it would be a much higher baffle mouthpiece. So how did you come to this setup that you have now? I'm sure you've had multiple horns and mouthpieces over the years.
Yeah, well, back in the day, I would go buy whatever mouthpiece all my favorite sax players were playing, and back in high school and college, and so I tried just about everything. I went from from Dukoff to Autolink to Meyer to, I mean, you name it. I had a Gardala that I played for a long time, but it wasn't, even though Michael Brecker at the time was my favorite sax player.
Yeah.
I tried the Michael Brecker Gardala, and the baffle was too much for me, so I actually ended up with a Brandford Marcellus model, and then actually had that opened up even more. And I really liked that. It started to kind of, after playing that for 10 or 15 years, the table on it started to get warped. And so I started looking at other mouthpieces, and I tried a myriad of them, and a lot of great mouthpieces out there. But when I found Jody's mouthpieces, the consistency, the craftsmanship, and this Giant, I don't know what it is about it. A lot of people, I don't know, some people don't know, I'll take the cap off here, that it's actually a metal mouthpiece. Some people, it looks hard rubber, so a lot of people think it is, but it's a metal mouthpiece, but it's pretty much wide open inside. And I've had a little bit of a natural bright sound, so I like the fullness I get from the mouthpiece, and both the low response and the altissimo, it's just kind of even from top to bottom, which I really like, and just natural sounding.
Yeah, I think, you sound amazing on it. I have one Jody Jazz Giant right here, but I definitely don't get that type of sound. I think for me, on the opposite, I'm slightly darker of a player, naturally. So I could play the Super Jet, which I have as well, and, still make it work for, like jazz ballads and stuff like that, to get the Stan Getz style sound. So, yeah, so for me, the Giant is just not bright enough for me because I darken it too much, but you definitely sound amazing on it, and playing, P. Moret saxophones for sure, and, sounding great. And, have you always been, just stick to one saxophone type of person? Do you have many horns lying around?
I had, at one point in time, they were all different. I mean, I had a Mark VI alto, and I had Yanagisawa soprano, and I had Kyle Worth and a Kahn tenor. I've tried just about everything, And right around the time, right before everything went down with Wayman Tisdale, I had gotten a call from my old college saxophone instructor, and he had just started helping distribute here in North America P. Morite saxophones. And back then, no one knew what they were. And they had someone lined up to come play at the Summer NAMM show, and it fell through. So they called me and said, "Hey, will you come to the show?" So I went out there, and I had never played them. Actually, I take that back. A few months before that, I had gone to a sax shop up north, Sax Alley, and I played one, and I loved it so much I sold my Kyleworth to buy the P. Morite, because the P. Morite played that much better.
Wow.
So I end up at this trade show. I played some of the horns they had there, some of the models I hadn't tried. And the owner of the company asked me if I would endorse them, and I said sure. And the rest is history. And I've been completely satisfied with them.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you have a beautiful looking saxophone there. It's like frosted silver, I think. Right.
The thing about this horn that a lot of people don't know, it's not painted or this is a different kind of a plating.
Okay.
Most matte silver saxophones are some sort of like you said, a frosting or almost a paint. This one is not. This is a actual hybrid silver plating. There's only 3 of these in the world.
Wow.
And so you get the fullness and the quality of tone that you get from real silver plating, because it is a silver plate. And then, of course, the bell and the keys have the regular shiny silver plating on them. So it's a great horn, really full, and then it has that kind of thing that silver has, which is really sweet.
It makes sense that there's only 3 in the world, because I don't see it for sale, like in shops, etc. So yeah, that must be a really special horn.
They will custom make them, though.
Okay.
It's a 66 RSS. It's called the RSS, so it's the real Tonho. It's like their 66R, just with the special finish. So I think they do make it by special request.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think I have a question from Adrian just now. Let me quickly pull it up. Okay, so he says that you have been playing on a beachless soprano for a long time. It's not an easy mouthpiece to get used to. How do you make it sound so good?
I'm actually not on the beachless soprano anymore, but I did. I played that thing for probably 20 years.
Wow.
And I think the answer to that question is that it was my first real soprano mouthpiece in high school, and that was in the late 80s. So I'm dating myself a little bit here. But it's also an 8, and so it's a little more open than most sopranos mouthpieces. And I've always played 7 stars or 8s with thin reeds, played between a 2 and a 2.5.
Yeah.
And so that combination worked well on soprano for me. I'm now on Jody's, believe it or not, on his Superjet on soprano, which I love a lot. It's not. I think the Superjet on soprano, it's not quite as bright as the alto or the tenor, and it plays fantastic.
That's amazing. Great. Thank you for sharing that. I just had Jody actually on my other show, which is on my Saxo shop page. So that was amazing. We spoke in great detail of all his mouthpieces. So it was quite cool. I think I told him about this, but I can't remember. I'll share him the link after this as well. I think you've been.
Yeah, he's a great guy, great designer, and he's an incredible player.
Incredible.
What makes his mouthpieces so good is when he's designing them, he's a very discerning player, so he's able to make critical decisions that some other designers can't.
Totally agree. And I sold a few mouthpieces just right after his show. I had people text me and says, wow, his mouthpieces sound really good, because in his hands, man, he manages to demo every single mouthpiece so beautifully. So yeah, it's been great working with him as well. So yeah, I'm gonna lead into another question from Adrian actually, and this one is more about producing, which I would love to learn more about you from you as well. So Adrian says, when you are producing an album for a saxophone player, how much of your own personality as a sax player comes through in the recording of that player?
I think there's a certain amount that automatically comes through. It's very difficult to completely disconnect yourself
Yeah.
Especially when you're producing for the same instrument. However, I've really tried to go to great lengths in working with artists to create a sound that works for them.
Yeah.
And I think that when an artist has their own sound, when an artist has their own style, it's pretty easy to create music that is unique for them. If you're working with maybe a younger, more inexperienced player that's looking for more direction,
Yeah.
then I may give them direction, and naturally, more of me, I think, may come through. It's kind of unavoidable.
Yeah.
But I try my best to really make each project that I do for people unique to them, so that it doesn't sound like a carbon copy.
If I could add on to that question, do you feel it's different when you're producing for a saxophonist and for a non-saxophonist?
I think, yeah, there is some different. Each instrument cuts differently in a mix. It sits differently in a mix. It has a different personality. And then each musician has a different personality. So I think it is a little different. I would like to see, I think in the world of saxophone, there's so much saxophone in our genre, but a good portion of it is really imitated. There are those that have just those genuine, unique voices. A lot of the guys we grew up listening to, guys like Kirk Whalum and Gerald Albright, David Sanborn, they were the guys that really established that sound. Dave Koz has his own sound.
Yeah.
A guy like Huge Groove has his own sound. These guys really brought their own personality forth. And now we're in this day where we're kind of getting a mixture of some original and then a bunch of clones, and a lot of great players. But I think that's my biggest thing is the individual voice. And I think the saxophone players that have the individual voices really stand a much better shot at standing out. I look at a young player like Riley Richard, who we work together, and I would say you won't hear much of my style come at all into his music, and that's because he has a really great sound and a great self-identity as a sax player.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think I asked that question actually more for myself, like I was thinking back, and because my life is so full of saxophones in that sense, as a player, as a shop owner, as a teacher, it's just all day, every day. So funny enough, when I recently produced 2 albums, and they were so different. One was a male jazz singer. So we did a straight ahead style, and I personally found it refreshing. Like, I couldn't deal with any more, other saxophone stuff in my life, so that was really nice. And then for the saxophone solos, I didn't even want to record it myself, so I got Tony Lakatos, based in Germany.
He's great player.
Such an amazing player, he just nailed it. And even the recording engineer who sent over his tracks, he was like, Daniel, you should know by now, Tony is a genius. Here are the tracks. So so funny. But man, he nailed every single thing. And yeah, so that was so refreshing, doing an album which is, a jazz quartet setting, with a male singer. And then recently I worked with another young pianist called Jeline, so she had her own thing going. So I worked together with Adam on that, so we roped in Adam to help with some of the production stuff as well. And yeah, and actually for me sometimes, I don't know whether you feel that, like, sometimes just if you work with too many, saxophone artists in the world, does that, do you feel like, there's too much saxophone in your life sometimes?
Maybe sometimes. If it's good saxophone, it's all good, And I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great players. I was actually just working as we were working on Dave Koz's new album. He called me up. He said, "Darren, you got another song?" And I'm in the middle of all these songs and productions for people. And, and he said, "Man, I just need one more hit, man. Give me one more hit." And I said, "Would you like that with pickles or without pickles?" He started laughing. Sometimes it feels like, someone is at the Starbucks drive-through ordering, I'd like another hit, and I'd like that with this style. So every once in a while, it gets a little overwhelming, but I just keep thinking, how amazing is it to get to do this? And so I'll try to just kind of clear my mind and try to start with a blank slate and that's what happened. Dave and I came up with another tune that we're going to be excited to share it with you guys soon.
Man.
And he's got such a great sense of who he is as an artist. It makes my job really easy.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm super excited to share. I haven't told anyone about this as well, but Dave agreed to come on my show, and we have it in,
awesome.
I think it's about 2 weeks' time. So I'm going to announce it. And for those of you who are watching, you get to hear it for the first time. I know a lot of people have been asking me, please get Dave, on the show, because people in Asia, I mean, worldwide for sure, but in Asia, I guess we get less access to artists, like all of you. I mean, I couldn't, when I was in LA, I caught Jared Albright at, where's that place in San Francisco? There's this club.
At Yoshi's.
At Yoshi's. Yeah, so I managed to catch, but that's a 24-hour flight to get to Yoshi's, to catch someone. So, I've been, so fortunate that you guys have been so gracious with your time, and to just share your music and your stories. So yeah, speaking about Dave Koz, I can't wait to have him on the show. And I think being a good musician, that's a given for all of you guys, who have been just putting out amazing music that we've known since we were young, but I think, being able to connect in this way, just shows the people behind the music, and it always clicks. There's something about, when someone is just a great person, there's no mystery why the music is amazing as well, and that, you guys have had, probably 20 to 30 years, in this business. And I think, to segue into that, I think you've done about 25 number one hits. Is that an accurate figure?
Something like that. I think, there's different charts, right? So
Yeah.
I think overall probably 30 or 35, but on Billboard I think like 19 or 20. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And it's a great problem, to lose track of how many number ones exactly, but that's just incredible. But how many number one on Billboard have you had for yourself? Just wanted
as an artist, I've
an
had
artist.
three number ones.
Nice.
I've had 3 number ones, and a lot of songs that almost went number one. You number ones are a real gift because I mean, you never know. There's a lot of great songs, incredible songs, songs that I would consider smash hits from many other artists, and I've had many songs that I thought were, as good as anything I've written, and they didn't make number one. So I'm just grateful that people get to hear them. So whether they're number one or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, it's all good. I just think it's amazing that we get to share this music with people.
Yeah, and I guess to tie in with that first point that we started off with, if you only were an artist, you would be, having your 3 Billboard number ones, which is just an amazing accomplishment by itself, but now that would mean that you have about 17 that are not you as an artist, but you as, working on the track. And that just blows my mind, It's just incredible how things have led, to the point where you are now.
It's one of my favorite feelings to help someone else get a number one. I've had many artists, a lot of young artists that never knew if they were going to get their songs on the radio, and being able to be a part of those songs and those relationships have been amazing. And then other artists, I didn't realize this until it happened, but years ago I did a song for Najee, who I just loved. He's an amazing guy, an amazing friend. But shortly after we first met, I produced a song for him, and he called me up. He said, "It's my first number one Billboard single." Wow. And I couldn't believe it. He'd had number one albums. He'd had gold albums, silver albums, platinum albums. And I guess, though, as a single, that was his first. And so that's a big joy to me to help others reach that, milestone. And, of course, it's not the reason we do music. And
of course.
You can never expect it, but it's amazing when it happens.
Yeah. I had Jeff Ryan on my show, I think 2 weeks ago. So he actually premiered his song Double Up, if I'm not wrong.
Cool.
Yeah, Double Up. I think. Oh, is that the album name or the single name? I got confused.
Let's see. There's
The-
there's two the one double there's two songs with double in it.
Yeah.
One of whatever the current single
Yeah.
is, it has the word double in it.
Yeah, and
yeah,
you
he and I did
worked
that
with him on that track, which is
Yeah,
currently
yeah.
on Billboard, which is just amazing. It's a really nice tune, and now we would love to hear more about your most recent number one, which is called Infinite Love. Could you share more with us about that tune?
Yeah, it's a song that I had written last year, and of course, it's dedicated to my amazing wife Priscilla, and the title "Infinite Love," it's a love song. It's also kind of a reflection of what infinite love is. We live in this world where everything seems so temporary. Relationships, emotions. Everything seems kind of fleeting, and even the greatest human love is not unconditional.
Yeah.
But I have a God who has unconditional love for me, and so when I wrote Infinite Love, it's about Priscilla and I, but it's also a reflection of the love that God has for us. So I kind of combined those two together and came up with a song.
Man, that's amazing. And would you like to play that song for us right now?
Sure.
Awesome.
I'd be
So,
happy to.
yeah, so this is Darren's most recent number one hit called Infinite Love. So hope you guys will enjoy this. Man, that was amazing. That was Darren on Infinite Love. Oh man, I've listened to that tune many times now, and somehow, every time I listen to it, I feel like I connect with it, deeper and deeper, really feeling that infinite love. And man, so, just
Thank
now
you.
when you're sharing about the concept of infinite love, I always remember listening to Kirk Whalum. I think this was a video on YouTube he was sharing just before he played I Will Always Love You, which he loves to play live. And of course, he was on the original recording. And, Kirk Whalum was sharing that, what is I Will Always Love You? You can say that to your wife, to your kids, but,
Mm.
that concept of always, forever and ever, and he mentioned, he was like, God is the only one who can say that. Even on a human level, we can say that and sing that tune all we want, but we would never be able to fulfill that. So I think,
Right.
and he's such an inspiration, not just as a saxophonist, but as a human being as well. And I feel that with you as well. I think for me, even though I'm a saxophonist, like, over the years, I just started to just not look at the saxophone part only. Of course, I know every single piece of gear you play. I've researched a lot of that, but, that's not the full picture. And I
Right.
think you and your journey with God and Christianity, I think that speaks so much louder in your music than the marca reeds that you are playing and the ligatures that you use. So
Mm.
maybe if I could ask you, like, how has your journey, as a Christian, impacted your music over the
Wow.
years?
Um, they're inseparable. Um, my relationship with Jesus Christ is the most important thing in my life, and um, the love, the only love that I've ever known, that has never failed, that has never changed, that has never diminished, um, is the love of Jesus Christ. I've been blessed to have many amazing relationships. I have an amazing wife, and I have a great son. Um, but the love of Jesus has been there my entire life, and so music for me um, is an extension of that. And I like to. I think the purpose for me is to share music with others. Everyone kind of has their own little
Mm,
theory of music and what it is, but I know and I believe that music is a gift from God. And if we do it just for ourselves, um, there's really no need for concerts and radio singles and
mm,
all that kind of stuff. But
mm.
for me, it's being able to take the love that God's shared with me and pour it into the music, and to be able to share that with the world, and especially for those that are hurting too. And it's my hope and prayer that others can experience that love too.
Yeah, that's so amazing, and it's so, I think, clear to see for everyone as well. And I suddenly remembered this conversation very early on. I think I saw a post that you did on social media, and I think I reached out on Facebook Messenger, and I think I mentioned that, it was really inspiring for me, to see you as such an established artist, but not afraid to share about your faith as well. Because I struggle with that sometimes as well. you know do I speak about this during my shows? Is that the
Mm.
right time, the right place? And I remember very clearly you told me, like, Daniel, this is, talking about Jesus is the most important thing, that you're
What we
interested in.
do, the
Yeah.
decision that we make as human beings about Jesus is the most important decision we'll ever make. And
Mm.
but we also have to realize that we've all been given different gifts. I'm not a great public speaker, and so preaching is not my forte. So
Mm.
God's given me the gift of music, but at the same time, Jesus said that um, if we deny him before men, he'll deny us. If we acknowledge him before men, he
Mm.
will acknowledge us before his Father in heaven. And so it is important to find whatever way that God would speak to our hearts to share our faith, and it's different for everyone. I've seen Kirk, and I agree with everything you said about him. Kirk has been a mentor and a friend to me, and I admire him so greatly. And he has such an eloquent way of reaching people and talking to them about God. And I know for me, it's a different journey. If I try to do the same thing, it wouldn't work the same way. And so we each have our own way, and I think we just have to be honest and true to following through with that, whatever we feel in our heart that we're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's definitely been really inspiring, seeing how you, I wouldn't even say blend the two things together. They are the same thing, they're such a big part of you, but, the way you share it in the public space, through your social media channels, through your music, I think, to have a tune, called Infinite Love, and, to have that deep meaning about love and love for God, some people might feel like that's risky for a radio single, in that sense, rather than like something, called like Funky Shoes or something like that, but I just, just watching you from afar, just being inspired by that fact that, man, I think over the years, it just feels like that I've known your music. It seems like those, your faith and your music have come like, just closer and closer together till now it's just the one thing. You're not going to ask Kirk Whalum if, oh, do you go to church? It's like,
It's about,
yeah.
I think those that have, I'm still young compared to some, but I've lived almost a half a century, and it's about relationship. It's about relationship with Jesus Christ. And you said that it's risky. It's risky maybe to title a song Infinite Love when the true meaning comes out. Does it help? Does it hurt? I don't think there's ever a bad time for love, and there's never a bad time for God's love. But I would propose that even if you don't win any popularity contests, I would propose that not acknowledging God is much riskier. And so, there's so much everywhere we look. It's incredible. It's incredible. His creation, the world we live in, the sky, the trees, the clouds, the mountains. It's just majestic and incredible. And music. I mean, music. What an unbelievable gift. So yeah. For me, as for me and my household, we will follow God and we will share His love. But we'll try to do it in a way that connects with people. We don't want to be in the business of turning people away, and certainly it's not our job to judge the state of a person's soul. It's our job to show God's love and and let Him help move in people's hearts, like He did he continues to do in mine.
Yeah, and I just remembered something else as well. On your album, on your Sonic Boom album, if I'm not wrong, you actually released a single called 1011.
Yeah.
Right? I think that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, man, is Darren really doing that? Releasing that to radio. Could you share a bit more about that?
Yeah, that's Psalms 1011.
Yeah.
It's a Bible verse. It basically says, "To you, O God, I will make music." And it was a psalm of David, who was arguably the greatest musician to ever live. And we have his songs in poetry form, at least in the Bible, in the book of Psalms. But that was that song 1011, and yeah, it didn't win any popularity contests. But it's one of my favorite songs ever, and it did go to radio, and a few people heard it, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think you shared a long post about that as well. The decision behind putting that out as your radio single. And that just amazes me. And I don't know how come I didn't remember that earlier, but yeah, just that memory came back to mind, and man, it just speaks, I think, volumes of you as a musician for sure, but as a person and what you want people to see through your life, and I think that's really inspiring, not just for me. I'm sure many people would have probably told you the same, but yeah, and it's just amazing. We really appreciate what you do as a musician, and but just coming from someone from me in Singapore, you know, and you never know where, that, how much you can inspire, I guess, people around the globe, So really, really appreciate your music and you as a person.
Thank you, Daniel.
And 14-hour time difference, 24-hour flight away, and we can feel that from you, So I just think it's so amazing. And the funny thing is, just now while you're playing, I was just keeping track of the chats. So I popped over to Facebook, and Cole, Mr. Saxman, was saying hi on Facebook.
Cole, my
so,
friend.
Man, it's just so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, our brother from Thailand.
Yes.
Ko, one of the amazing musician, and I know, Daniel, you've been over there with Ko, so
Yes.
you know one of the most amazing hearts that I've ever met in my life. He's such a generous, kind, warm person, and so one of the greatest moments of my life was when I met Ko.
Wow. Yeah, I agree with every word you say. He's one of the, he's the same thing I always say. Him as a saxophonist is the last thing I remember of him. It's not what hits me the first.
Right, and he's an amazing saxophonist.
He is. He's
a
so
really,
amazing.
really amazing saxophonist. And yet, you're right. It's his heart, the care, the thoughtfulness in which he interacts with people that is truly second to none.
Yeah. It's incredible, and I always tell Cole, man, you need to rest a bit more, get a bit more sleep. He'll always tell me, no, I'm good.
He does.
I'm good. I just need music. I'm okay. It's just so funny. But yeah, and so he was saying hi, and I, if some of you don't know, so I actually had Cole Saxman on my show. But this was a 12-hour live stream that I did. So he was one of the special guests. But for some of you in Asia, you might know Cole's song called "Memory of You." But you may not know that it was actually written and produced by Darren. Correct, Darren?
Yeah. That song was written after my first trip to Thailand when I met Ko.
Wow.
I got back to Colorado, and he had asked me to work on an album for him.
Wow.
And so I started working on songs, and that song was written. It was written as a memory to when he and I first met. There was such a brotherhood and such a friendship that was formed almost instantly when we met. And when I left Thailand, that time with Ko and the people of Thailand, when I left, there was a hole in my heart. And so I got home, and I wanted to write a song to kind of commemorate that. And I wrote that song and sent it to Ko, and I had no idea that it was going to become somewhat of an anthem over there in Asia. And so Ko was definitely the exact right person to play that song.
Wow. I've known Cole for a long time and knew that song for a long time, but I never knew that was the story behind you writing that song. That's really amazing, and it gives so much more meaning now, and it all makes sense. I think everyone who meets Cole for the first time, feels the exact same way. Just a wonderful person, And I think there's another tune that I really love that's called 8,000 Miles Away, if I'm not wrong. It's you, Dave Koz, and Cole, which is so amazing. Did you produce that track as well?
Yeah, I wrote and produced that, and that was for, I think, the next album that I had worked on with Ko, and he wanted to do this song, and it was just for him. He was going to play on it, and so he recorded his part and sent it to me. And he had always told me that he had a dream of meeting Dave Koz, and so I was in LA working with Dave Koz on one of Dave's projects that he and I worked on together. And I told Dave, I said, Dave, there's this amazing guy in Thailand, and you're his hero, and I would love for us to surprise him by doing something special for him. And I said, I think you guys will probably meet someday. And so Dave offered to play on the song along with me, and so Dave and I overdubbed our parts, and I made a trio out of it, and then surprised Ko with it. And he was, it was a great moment. It was a great moment.
Wow.
And he and Dave have since met and played together
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Koz reached a lot of lives over here in the U.S.
Wow, that's that's just incredible. Never knew that story as well. And man, if you guys want to check it out, I'll send it in the chat later or in the description. Man, you do check out these songs that I think that shows perfectly that collaboration that can exist, internationally, and these songs live on forever. And I'm sure it will be, a lot of saxophonists. I mean, basically the whole of Thailand knows Memory of You probably, and then,
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah. And then the rest of Asia as well. But maybe not many knew that, it's written by you and based off your first, meeting and with Cole. That was quite incredible, man. I had this when I was planning this show. That thought did come to my mind. It'd be cool if we did a duet, over Memory of You, but I don't want to spring that on you right now. But we could probably, it'd be pretty cool. Maybe we could do a video, separately, filming
Maybe.
and as a cover. I think that it's crazy. That could tie everything together as well. But I'll leave that for another time. And man, I didn't expect us to to talk about this, but man, it's so inspiring as well to hear that, and it shows that the amazing people that you and Dave Koz are. To do that as a surprise. I mean, you probably made his day like 1,000 times over. I can only imagine that feeling. That's so incredible. Yeah, but we were speaking earlier, and my dad is watching the show actually, and you actually released an album of hymns that and so when I think I shared it on my social media, my dad straight away reached out to me and was like, can you get me like 10 copies, because I want to give it out to all my friends. And it's a wonderful album, and I had dinner with my parents this past week, and I told them about your show. They were like, they were so happy, to finally get to, they've heard your music, and they're not musicians.
Wow.
My mom and dad, they play music, but, they're not full-time musicians. And to be able to connect with you, through that album, so my dad was like, can you please ask Darren to play one of the songs from that, a hymn? And, I think you were very gracious to decide to play one for us. So maybe we could do a song. Which of the hymns would you like to play for us?
I'm gonna play my favorite hymn, and this has been my favorite hymn since I was young.
Wow.
And this hymn is, there's a lot of songs that are about us. There's a lot of songs that are about, if we want something from God or we need something from God. But a lot of my favorite songs are songs where we get to express our love and our appreciation and our gratitude and our acknowledgement of Him. So this song is my favorite hymn. This is called How Great Thou Art.
Oh, thank you. man, Darren, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that song. And you know what? While you were playing, I just glanced at the YouTube chat, and I didn't even know this. I didn't see it, but my dad was asking if you could play "How Great Thou Art."
Oh wow,
It's
that's
just
awesome.
of all the tunes you could have chosen to do. When I glanced at it, I was like, wow, that's really incredible. And man, I'm just gonna read out some comments. Gregory says, "Oh man, it's beyond words and so beautiful." And Wendy says, "Awesome and beautiful hymn." And my dad says, "Thank God for you, Darren." And I think my dad said something earlier as well. He says, "Hi, Darren. Thank God for making you a channel for strength, unity, and inspiration through music." Yeah, he says we have your albums, hymns from the heart, right here at home. And then earlier he said, "Please play a tune from there." He didn't know that we spoke about this earlier to play a tune for him. So man, that was
thank you, Daniel, for the very kind words, and thank you to your dad for not only the kind words. I'm humbled by those words, but he bought 10 copies of that CD, and I remember. When that CD came out, I remember getting a message from you saying, "Hey, we're overseas and we want to get some physical copies. Can my dad order a whole bunch of them?" So, thank you guys for the love and support, and God bless you guys.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing that album. I guess you could have. You write a lot of amazing tunes. But I think that album is gonna be something really special, for a long time to come. And if you guys want a copy, do you have more copies of that, Darren?
Sure. Yeah, I've got plenty of copies of those, and it's
Great.
available online too. You can go to
Okay.
iTunes and Amazon and all
Yeah.
those places and download it. And just released a brand new hymn recently, which is just a single. It's available digitally. Great is Thy Faithfulness. So
Wow.
yeah, I love playing the hymns, and the meaning behind them really fuels who I am, and to me, there's nothing greater than being able to give music back to God and just thank Him for how good he is to us.
Yeah, but I think of course Darren's music can be found on all digital platforms. But if you guys want a physical CD, either of Hymns from the Heart or any of his CDs, please, you can contact Darren directly. And I think nothing beats, an autographed CD. And do reach out to him directly on social media, or just contact me. I'll get those copies over for you here wherever you are. For those who are watching, I think it's such a blessing. And yeah, I think you guys would love owning a copy of that. And yeah, do reach out to me or Darren directly. We'll gladly hook you up with that. And it goes a long way to supporting what Darren is doing as well. I love technology and love Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. But there's still something to be said for owning a piece of someone's work physically. And maybe in a few more years we won't even have that option. CDs might not even be available anymore, but while we still can, I think this is a great opportunity. And I think my dad would have blessed many other people with your music. So if you want copies to give away, as birthday presents, Christmas presents, we actually, my wife loves Tori Kelly. So she's also another huge inspiration. And we did the same thing. We bought 10 albums, and guess what everyone got for Christmas last year? Just everyone gets a Tori Kelly album, Hiding Place. And
She's
she won.
awesome. Yeah.
That was her second album. And to lead up from a major label album, and with your second album being a gospel album, that was a huge risk. And I'm glad her label and management supported her, and it won 2 Grammys. It's just so incredible. And that we still talk about it, and we say that's her best work. We love every single song of it. And it's just amazing when artists like yourself and her just really do what's from the heart. And of course I don't think she thought she would get 2 Grammys from doing a gospel album, but man, I guess, it's just things aligned, and it's just so incredible. And yeah, so please, if you guys enjoy the music so far, reach out directly. We'll gladly hook you guys up with a CD. But if not, for sure, it's available on all digital platforms. You can share this show. You can share, Darren's music with your friends and family who will enjoy. I think some of you, maybe this might be the first time, you're getting to meet Darren and hear his music. So yeah, and Cole has been watching the whole time on Facebook, sharing it as well. He's man, I'm gonna text him after this as well. We meet probably like 2-3 times a year at least, because we do
Great.
business together as well. We both have a shop, so it goes way beyond business and saxophone, but just always friends first. And man, I really hope one day the three of us will get to hang out together. It's just, I think that would be really awesome. And I think you guys, you went to China, right, for the music Shanghai show. So you probably did. The year you went was Cole there as well.
A couple years ago when I went, he was there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a chance to hang and spend some time together. And then this past year, let's see, I can't remember if it was this past year or time's flying so fast. The most recent time I was there, he was not there. So
Okay.
I missed him greatly. But yeah, we've had a chance to hang on several occasions, and always an amazing time.
Yeah, that's, we look forward to be able to connect with people, in person. But for now, this is beyond amazing. We get to, share, bring you much closer to Asia. And I think this has been really amazing. And, I think, let me see if there are any more questions. Nathan from the US says that was truly touching, and we have a friend from Tokyo. He says love you from Tokyo, and Nicole from Malaysia, and my dad is telling me I should come up with I should do a hymns album as well. Yeah, I would love to. Actually, my plan, and I don't know whether I actually brought it up to you before, but I'm actually planning to do a Hill songs album. So instrumental album of all my favorite Hill songs, and I love the old Hill songs. The Darlene era. I don't really keep track with the new ones nowadays, but those classics, to me, it lives on with me for, it's been a long time.
That was an amazing era for contemporary Christian music. I had the honor of getting to play with Darlene a couple times.
Wow.
Back when, what was that, kind of mid 90s maybe, 97, 98. And that was an amazing experience, being able to worship God together.
Wow, that's amazing. Was she visiting Denver, or how did that happen?
She had come through Denver, and the church that I was playing at was a very large church, and her band came through. They had asked, they had their own band, but I guess they needed a sax player, and so I was asked to go ahead and play with them, and some really incredible memories from those few nights.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow. I remember, I think Hillsongs came to Singapore, and this was in our indoor stadium, which is huge. And, man, that was probably something I'll not, forget for a long time. So, man, Corey is here, Corey Ward from the US.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you so much, guys, for being here and in all parts of the world. It's always so hard to find a good time slot. It's probably getting really late where you are, and it's early morning. I did last Saturday, I had Michael Lington on the show, and we had to do it because, yeah, he's amazing. And, because he has a 3-month-old, so he was asking to do it at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8 a.m. over here in Singapore, so that was an early day,
Early
but
morning for you.
Yeah, but we're happy. It's never gonna be perfect, but we make it work. And I never even knew that the time zone that you were in, was it Mountain Standard Time or something like that?
Yeah. I'm an hour later than Los Angeles, and I'm 2 hours earlier than New York.
Yeah, I always thought there was just like, the Pacific, Eastern and Central, but never heard. So I didn't even include it in the poster originally. I just went with the East West times. But yeah, I learned something new all the time. So, but no, it's been so great to have you on. I hope this won't be the last, virtual conversation. We'll
I'd love to do it
definitely
again.
keep in contact and hopefully do a YouTube video together. That might be really
Sure.
nice. Yeah. Speaking of hill songs, I was speaking to Kayla Waters, amazing
Oh,
pianist.
she's amazing.
She played on one of my tracks for my upcoming album. So I told her, hey, do you want to do this hill songs tune together? So we should be putting out that sometime. But Darren, thank you so much for your time and just being who you are, and it's just been amazing getting to know you, virtually over the past few years. And I hope we get to meet in person.
That would be
That would
great,
be
Daniel.
that would be
great.
amazing.
We're waiting for you here in Denver, or maybe I'll have a chance to come to Singapore. sometime
Yeah.
soon.
The next time, if you are maybe heading to, I have been supposed to go for the China show, for many
Yeah.
years, for my business, but just never made it. But yeah, maybe that might be another good opportunity. Darren, I really love your music and hearing you play. Do you think you could do one more tune for us of your choice? Anything you feel like closing us out with?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I'll. You know what? Do you have people in the comments? You want something fast or
Okay,
slow?
let me see. Okay, guys, so we are coming down to the final stretch. Oh, okay, Darren, maybe before you play that. Okay, so those of you who are watching, let us know you want something fast or slow. But at the same time, Nathan asked, Darren, what is the process for hiring you to produce an independent single or album? Maybe you can. What's the best way to
Well,
reach out?
these days, you could even send me a message on Facebook. Or, what is it? Every once in a while, I'll check Instagram, but Facebook is a pretty good place to reach me. And then at the moment, right now, my schedule's pretty full up through the fall. And but for those that are willing to wait, and if the timing and the schedules and all the details work out, I try to cover a lot of different people. I do have a waiting list, but always happy to chat and see if we can make it work.
Cool. Sounds good. So Nathan, do just reach out to Darren. And then you guys can communicate further. So, if any of you are watching, who are musicians looking for, a producer or even just purely mixing, I think Darren does that as well. Just reach out and hopefully you guys can work something out. So thank you, Nathan.
Daniel,
Yep.
I'm thinking about this last song.
Sure.
And, it strikes me that we're going through a really, really kind of difficult time in human history right now.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people hurting. So
Yeah.
I think I'd like to play a song that I wrote a handful of years ago. That's for those people. It's a song that I wrote called "The Healing," and so I think with everything that's going on in our world, I'd love to play that for everyone if you're cool with that.
No, of course. Thank you so much for doing that. I think that's so needed for us. I know a lot of people are suffering. As much as I think there was a lot of good that came out of this period, but we can't take away the fact that many people have had their lives affected, and I really appreciate you doing that, and just sharing with us this tune that you wrote. So thank you so much.
Sure, my pleasure.
Man, Darren, thank you so much for that song called The Healing, man. It just felt every bit of that song. And thank you for sharing that with me. And I was looking at the YouTube chat as well. We were asking, what they would like to hear. And they all said a slow song as well. So that was perfectly, yeah, perfectly in line. And yeah, and I sent the link to that tune as well on the chat, so you guys can check out if you want to hear more of that.
I think I lost my microphone here.
Oh, no problem.
Daniel, if you'll just chat for a minute.
Yeah.
I'll get this microphone.
Yeah,
fixed.
no problem. And since since Darren is fixing his microphone, as you're playing this song, just a sudden thought came to my mind. And Darren, if you wouldn't mind, staying on the call for longer, I didn't plan to do this, but I would like to play a song. And I would like to dedicate this song to you, to Priscilla, to your family, and to hopefully just send love from here over in Asia. And this is actually a tune that I wrote called Grace, and one of my favorite words in the world. And yeah, I would like to play a song for you, sending you love all the way from Asia, and and to hopefully just encourage you to keep doing what you're doing, which is just beyond amazing. And can't wait to hear more music from you. And I know just everything will be, straight from the heart. And yeah, so I'd love to dedicate this song for you. I hope my saxophone still works after these 2 hours left
You've
dry there.
You gotta get that reed working again.
Luckily, I'm playing synthetic reed, so that's not so bad.
Oh, good.
But this is a tune of mine called Grace. I'm gonna have to get the track. Give me a minute. Okay. So for those of you who have been watching my show, you've heard that you've heard me play this several times, but this is just something I wanted to play for Darren and to send love from over here in Singapore. And hope you guys will enjoy this tune called Grace.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
Thank you so
so
much, Darren. That was going out to you and the family over there in Denver, and really hope we get to connect again. Hopefully not too long. I'd love to have you on the show again, man. There's just so much to talk about, but I know it's getting late for you as well, but we can always arrange another session. And just thank you so much, most importantly, for your time. You're really busy and could have been doing anything else on a Friday night, but thank you so much for doing this, and I hope everyone else has found it enriching, to hear from you. And yeah, once again, if you guys like Darren's music, do reach out, get his physical CDs. If not, look for it on the digital platforms. And yeah, if you want to work with Darren, reach out as well, and I'm sure you guys can work something out. So thank you so much. For those in Asia, I'll see you at 8 p.m. for my show, all Mando pop tunes tonight. And if not, I'll see you again for more special guests coming out in the subsequent weeks. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to put Darren on the screen. So Darren, thank you so much. Any last words for those people who are watching here?
Well, first of all, Daniel, thank you so much. That was beautiful, and thank you for that, playing that for me and my family, and for all the listeners, and for sharing your gift, for sharing all the beautiful music that God has put in your heart. And I think I just want to give my love to everyone, and often I say God bless you, and I mean that to you and to your family and to all the listeners. I believe in that verbal blessings are a real thing, and so when I say God bless you, I mean that. And I just pray for God's best for you and for everyone listening. And thank you so much for having me, Daniel. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys. If you like the video, the show today, you can always share it on your social media platforms, and we can share Darren's gift with a lot more people. So thank you so much. We'll see you again, and God bless. Thank you.